Hello again, everybody. This is Steve Kallas, speaking of sports, and today we're here to talk about the championship game between LSU and Clemson. I'm sure by now you already know that LSU won pretty convincingly, 42-25. But as always, when we look back at these games now, we're going to look at a couple of key plays in the game. But first, at the beginning of the game, it looked like Clemson might have Joe Burrow, the Heisman Trophy winner's number. They made a big deal out of the fact, the announcers made a big deal out of the fact that Clemson came out in 3 down linemen, 1 linebacker, 7 DBs to kind of shut him down. And it seemed to work at the beginning, but I think that was more of a function of the field position in the game. Will Spires, the Clemson punter, was able to keep LSU inside their own 10-yard line on 2 occasions early. They couldn't really move the ball in those 2 times. Maybe there was one other time. But eventually, when the field position got better, and Clemson did take a 7-0 lead, but when the field position got better, Joe Burrow showed why he's Joe Burrow, and it was just incredible what he wound up doing to Clemson. On the other side, Trevor Lawrence, who had won all 25 games he started at Clemson, including the national championship game last year. So he was undefeated all of last year, undefeated all of this year until the LSU game. He had a pretty bad game, completing less than 50% of his passes. He had 13 overthrows, which he's generally known for very good accuracy. He really didn't run well. And once Joe Burrow got going, it was just really not a game. Again, they have the best wide receiving core in the country, some people say in the history of college football. And Jamar Chase, who was kind of an afterthought in the Oklahoma game when Burrow threw 7 touchdown passes in the first half, Jamar Chase was the star this time, 221 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns to boot. He is the Biletnikoff winner. He is the best wide receiver in the country. But again, LSU has 4 guys. Thaddeus Moss is Randy Moss's son. He's the tight end. He had a good game. They had a bunch of guys. Jefferson had a good game. But I do want to focus on a couple of plays that I thought, and I thought LSU would win, and I picked them to win. But there were a couple of plays that I thought really hurt Clemson. Not that they were going to win the game, 42-25. But I just want to give you the time on a couple of these plays, and you'll know what I'm talking about. The first play took place 6 minutes left in the third quarter. When Skalski, the very fine linebacker for Clemson, who had played a great game, he came in and hit Justin Jefferson, one of the star receivers, with the crown of his helmet. You know what targeting is by now. Targeting is when you use the crown of your helmet to hit an opposing player. And nowadays, that used to be a great tackle 3, 5, 20, 100 years ago. Nowadays, you get ejected for doing that, for targeting. You don't have to go helmet to helmet. You just have to use the crown of your head and drive it into a player on the other team. And that is what Skalski did. You know, the problem for me with that is, frankly, this is how these guys learned how to play football. And now in the last couple of years, they've totally changed the way you can tackle. So Skalski, one of their top defenders, was thrown out of the game, again, with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. The score was 28-25 LSU, so obviously it was a close game. But he was ejected from the game, and there was a 15-yard penalty, and LSU went down and scored a touchdown. They might have scored anyway, but that made it 35-25. The other play I want to talk about, I just want to give you the main timing of when this was. It was later in the game. The score was then... they were up 35-20, I'm sorry, they were up 42-25, and T. Higgins, the star wide receiver for Clemson, just ran a go route down the left sideline. He was like fighting with the cornerback, Vincent, and Vincent fell down right before T. Higgins caught the ball and walked into the end zone, and the referee called a offensive pass interference. Offensive pass interference it's called more now than it had been in the past. It was like never called. But on review, you saw these guys were pushing each other, and you know, it was a terrible call, I thought. And again, I was rooting for LSU and picked LSU, but T. Higgins walked into the end zone. That would have cut the score to 10 points. It would have been 42-32. Again, I don't think Clemson could have won the game that way, but they at least would have had a chance. So I thought that was a terrible call. So I thought there were 2 tough calls against Clemson that did not decide the game, but certainly made it so it wasn't a close game the entire second half once LSU pulled ahead. So Joe Burrow, what did he do? 463 passing yards. I mean, again, just incredible. 5 touchdown passes. The guy is unbelievable. He ran for a touchdown as well. So he really was the Heisman Trophy winner. There's a question whether he or Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the country for the pro game. But Joe Burrow was clearly the much better quarterback the other day to win the national championship. And Joe Burrow's going in this draft. Trevor Lawrence won't be going until the next draft. So Joe Burrow will probably be the first pick in this draft, and Trevor Lawrence will probably be the first pick in next year's draft. But you have to give all credit to LSU. They played really well. They're an offensive juggernaut, and that's what won the day. So LSU national champs 42, Clemson 25. This is Steve Kallas speaking of sports. We'll see you the next time.